Today I'm giving you a hands-on review of all the cold wallets I own, which is nearly all of them, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that no cold wallet is created equally, but there is a perfect cold wallet out there for you. You just have to know which one matches your experience level and works with the cryptocurrency you hold. I'm going to break down everything from how each wallet works to their security features. I've organized them first by brand, and then by type, beginner wallets, air-gapped, and Bitcoin only, so you know exactly which one is best for you. We'll start with the beginner wallets and work our way up to the more advanced options. I've also dropped discounted links down in the description for most wallets on this list, so make sure to use a link if you find a wallet you like to save some money. I also dropped some user guides down there for many of these wallets, so check that out as well. Now, let's get this party started. So let's kick this off with the most user-friendly wallet on this list, Tangem. I've been using this wallet for the past 3 years, and out of all the wallets I own, this is still the one I use the most. It's an NFC wallet that only works with your iOS or Android phone, which is the main reason it's so easy to use. There's no cables, no batteries to charge, and really no components. There are also no firmware updates. The only thing you need to update to get access to new features and coin support is the Tangem app on your phone. To set up and begin using is extremely simple. Just download the Tangem app on your phone, scan one of your cards, and follow the on-screen instructions. The whole setup process only takes a few minutes. Now, something unique about Tangem is that you can set it up with or without a seed phrase. If you choose the no seed phrase option, then your cards act as the additional backups, which is why Tangem comes in either a 2 or a 3 card pack. You need a minimum of 2 cards to set up one Tangem wallet, and both of these cards act as the same wallet. They're not different wallets. There's also no limit to the number of cards you can set up and manage in the app, which makes Tangem a good option for easily and securely diversifying your crypto portfolio across multiple wallets. To prevent anyone from accessing your wallet, you also create an access code. This is a card-specific password that keeps others out. To approve transactions, you just tap the card to your phone, enter your access code, and it's really that easy. Because of its design, it's also waterproof, temperature resistant, and extremely discreet. For that reason, it's the only wallet I've ever traveled with. You can also buy, sell, stake, and trade crypto right in the app, making it a true all-in-one cold wallet. As for security, Tangem uses the highest rated EAL6 secure element chip to store your private keys offline, and they've completed 3 independent security audits. That said, Tangem isn't open source. Their firmware is closed source. However, the Tangem app is 100% open source. Oh, and I forgot, Tangem also has a cold wallet ring. This literally is a cold wallet, and it works exactly the same as the cards, just in ring form, and it actually comes with 2 backup cards. But regardless of whether you choose the ring or just the cards, Tangem will be the easiest wallet to set up and use on this list if you're a beginner without sacrificing security. That said, this next wallet is extremely similar to Tangem with only some minor differences, and it's the only American-made wallet on this list. It's called Arculus, and it's also an NFC-based mobile-only card wallet. Right off the bat, the main difference between Arculus and Tangem is the design. This card is made of solid metal, and rather than coming in a 2 or a 3 pack like Tangem, it comes with just 1 card. But this isn't just a packaging choice, it's because it functions differently from Tangem. Arculus only allows you to set it up using a 12 or a 24 word seed phrase, so backup cards aren't needed. Aside from that, the setup process is very similar to Tangem. It's extremely easy and only takes a couple of minutes. One difference I noticed during setup though is Tangem allows you to create an access code, which is a combination of letters, numbers. Arculus only allows you to generate a 6-digit PIN. Not a huge deal, just a minor difference. That said, with Arculus, if you enter the PIN incorrectly more than 3 times, the card will actually reset itself to factory settings so that no one can access it. I call this the self-destruct mechanism, and most of the wallets on this list have something similar. Another cool feature that both Arculus and Tangem share is what I call the privacy screen. Anytime sensitive information is shown in the app, like your seed phrase during setup, it can't be screenshotted or recorded. If you try, it just appears blank. Super cool feature that most people don't even know exists. Security-wise, Arculus is comparable to Tangem. It also uses an EAL6 plus secure element chip. The one major difference though is that Arculus is 100% closed source, so the firmware and the app is closed source, whereas with Tangem, the app is open source. Speaking of the app, Tangem offers slightly more features over Arculus's app, things like stablecoin yield, multiple accounts, and market data, whereas Arculus lacks those features. That said, Arculus still lets you do all the important things like buy, sell, swap, and stake crypto directly in the app, and the one thing Arculus can do that Tangem currently doesn't is connect to MetaMask ask if that's something you want to do. But whether you're a beginner or even a more advanced user, I don't think you could go wrong with either of these wallets. Both are extremely simple to set up and start using, and Arculus remains one of my favorite wallets on this list. Now let's move on to the wallet brand that started it all for me, and one that is still a great option for beginners, and that is Ledger. The first wallet I ever got was the Ledger Nano X. Since then, Ledger has released several models and discontinued some, and I own all of them. The important thing to understand about all of Ledger's current models is that they're all equally secure, so whether you get the entry-level Nano S Plus or their most premium option, the Stax, they all have the same security, just different features. But starting with the Nano S Plus, this is their most basic model. It looks like a USB stick, it has a small OLED screen, and it's the only Ledger wallet without a battery or Bluetooth, so it has to be plugged in to use. A step above this is the Ledger Nano X. It has the same USB style design, but with a slightly larger screen. The main difference is that the Nano X has a rechargeable battery and Bluetooth, so you can use it wirelessly with your phone through the Ledger app or plug it into your computer to use it too. Now moving up to their entry-level touchscreen wallet, the Nano Gen5. If you're looking for a larger screen, you're going to want to go with one of Ledger's touchscreen models, the Gen5 being the most affordable one thanks to its all-plastic design. All of their touchscreen wallets have Bluetooth and rechargeable batteries, so they can all be used wirelessly. They also use an e-ink touchscreen similar to Kindle. Because the screen uses very little power and has no backlight, these wallets can last up to 10 hours on a full charge or even months when powered off. Something else unique to all of Ledger's touchscreen models is the Ledger Recovery Card. This card lets you scan your wallet using their built-in NFC to create an encrypted, pin-protected copy of your seed phrase stored on the card. This makes it much faster to recover your wallet since you don't have to manually enter your seed phrase, and the recovery card is included with every touchscreen wallet. The next model is the Ledger Flex, and it's very similar to the Gen 5, except it has a more premium design with aluminum edges and a slightly better quality screen, but if I didn't tell you that, you wouldn't even notice it. Personally, the Flex is my favorite Ledger wallet because it has a touchscreen, but feels a bit more premium in your hand compared to the Gen 5. And finally, we have the Ledger Stax, Ledger's most premium wallet. Fun fact about this wallet, it was actually created by Tony Fadell, who is the inventor of the iPod. It works the same as the Gen 5 and Flex, but it has the largest touchscreen, and the display even wraps around the side. It's definitely the best looking Ledger wallet in my opinion, but it's not necessary if your only goal is to securely store your crypto. You could get any Ledger model. Setting up any of the Ledger models is fairly straightforward. You just power on the device, connect it to your phone or computer, and follow the on-screen instructions. As for security, all models use an EAL-rated secure element chip, and Ledger's security team, Ledger Donjon, is considered one of the best security teams in the entire crypto space. Keep in mind, like most wallets on this list, you will need to update your Ledger wallet's firmware by connecting it to the Ledger app on your phone or computer. It's fairly straightforward, and I would say you're going to have to do this at least every 3 months if you want to keep it operating well. Ultimately, Ledger is a wallet I started with when I first got into crypto, so if it worked for me as a beginner, then it'll work for you. Next up, we have the OG of hardware wallets, Trezor. Not only did Trezor release the first hardware wallet back in 2014, but they also invented the BIP39 seed phrase that we all use today. So if reputation matters to you just as much as user friendliness, Trezor is one of the best options. Trezor currently has 3 models to choose from. Previously, they offered the Model 1 and the Model T. However, I won't be reviewing these models in this video because these models are discontinued. And if you own a Model 1 or a Model T, you might want to consider upgrading to one of their new models. It's also worth noting that Trezor has a Bitcoin-only version of all of the models we're going to cover. Let's start with their entry-level model, the Safe 3. This one is simple, which is exactly why I like it. There's no battery, no Bluetooth, so you do have to plug it in to use it, and while you can plug it into your Android phone, this wallet is really designed to be used with your computer, so it's not the most portable, but it should last a long time since you don't have to worry about the battery crapping out on you. It has 2 buttons to navigate the entire device and a small OLED screen, which is fairly easy to read. It also supports more advanced features like SLIP39, which is similar to Shamir Backup. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, you probably don't need it. You can just set it up with a standard 12 or 24 word seed phrase. Now, if you want better usability though, the Safe 5 is a great option. It has a larger Gorilla Glass touchscreen with haptic feedback, but it's still fairly affordable. It works the same as a Safe 3, but in my experience it's much easier to do basic tasks like entering your PIN or seed phrase because of the touchscreen keyboard instead of using the 2 buttons on the Safe 3. Like the Safe 3, it doesn't have a battery or Bluetooth, so I mainly use this as a desktop stay-at-home wallet. Also, both the Safe 3 and the Safe 5 use EAL6 plus secure element chips, and all of Ledger wallets are 100% open source. But then we have something special. This is by far the best wallet Trezor has ever made, and it's one of the best looking hardware wallets on the market in my opinion. It's the Trezor Safe 7, and it's Trezor's first and only wireless wallet. Unlike the previous Trezor models that don't have a battery, the Safe 7 uses a LiFePO4 battery, which is a higher quality battery, and it supports wireless charging. It also uses fully encrypted Bluetooth to allow you to connect to both your phone and computer to set up and manage your wallet. It also has the brightest screen of any hardware wallet at 700 nits, which is close to iPhone brightness, and it's the first hardware wallet using quantum-ready code, so if blockchains ever update to a quantum-resistant network, the Safe 7 should be able to easily implement it. On top of that, it uses 2 secure element chips for extra protection against physical attacks, and setup on all Trezor wallets are straightforward with on-screen instructions guiding you the whole way. The main downside with Trezor wallets is that they support fewer cryptocurrencies than competitors like Tangem and Ledger, so before buying any wallet, always make sure that it supports the cryptocurrencies you want to secure with it. But if you want a reputable open source wallet that's beginner friendly, any of these Trezor models are a good option. Okay, now moving on to another beginner and budget friendly wallet, the OneKey Classic 1S. This is what I call a bare bones wallet. There's absolutely nothing fancy about it, but it works, and it works well, even if you're a beginner. My favorite thing about the Classic is that it's the thinnest wallet on the market that has both a screen and multiple buttons. It's about the thickness of 3 bank cards, so it's still very discreet and easy to carry around. The screen isn't high resolution by any means, but it doesn't need to be. What matters is that you can clearly see it to verify and sign transactions, and you can. The 4 buttons also make it easy to use. There's a power button, 2 arrow buttons for entering your PIN or seed phrase, and a confirmation button. Like the Trezor Safe 3 or the USB style Ledger wallets, using buttons can feel a bit slower, but it's really not that big of a deal. That said, OneKey offers multiple versions of the Classic 1S. I personally prefer the original 1S. This one has a rechargeable battery, so you can use it on the go, and the battery lasts a long time. I haven't charged mine in about 6 months, and it still has plenty of power. If you prefer no battery, there's the 1S Pure. It's exactly the same, but it's white and doesn't have a battery, so you have to use it plugged in. They also have a Bitcoin-only version, which looks really cool. It's like the Pure, but it only supports Bitcoin. The interesting thing about all of the Classic 1S models is they all have Bluetooth, so you can use them either on your computer plugged in, or you can use them on the OneKey app on your phone using the Bluetooth. Also, with the Bitcoin-only Classic 1S, you can update this to be a multi-coin wallet, so a normal one that supports all the standard cryptocurrencies. So if you like the design of the Bitcoin-only model, you can get it and then upgrade to the multi-coin firmware. But if you're looking for a more premium option, OneKey has that too. The OneKey Pro is their more premium option, and it supports wireless charging as well as an air-gapped mode, and even has a biometric fingerprint scanner on the side. One of my favorite things about the Pro is its large touchscreen. The buttons are big and easy to read, which makes tasks like entering your PIN much faster than the Classic. And like I said, this is the first air-gapped wallet on our list, and all air-gapped is that you can use the camera on the back of the device to scan QR codes to sign transactions, which means there are no external forms of communications that you have to use like Bluetooth or USB if you want to avoid those. But just to be clear, air-gapped wallets are not actually more secure than non-air-gapped wallets, it's mainly just marketing. In the real world, air-gapped devices are actually more difficult to use, especially if you're a beginner, because they're somewhat more complex. But if you want the OneKey Pro and you don't want to use it in air-gap mode, you can just disable air-gap mode in the settings. Now let's talk about security. All of the OneKey wallets, including all the Classic 1Ss and the Pro, use an EAL6 Plus secure element chip. The Classics use 1 chip, whereas the Pro uses 4 different EAL6 chips. Now, according to OneKey, this was a strategic move to allow them to upgrade the wallet in the future if any new updates come out. And my guess is that having more chips allows the device to have more memory, since secure element chips don't have a lot of memory, and that's why they put 4 of them in there. And just like all the wallets we've covered so far, the setup is very straightforward. You power on the device, connect it to the OneKey app on your phone or computer, create a seed phrase, and you're pretty much ready to go. If you need to update the firmware, you can also do that using your computer or your phone, which is pretty cool. All of OneKey's wallets also support more than 30,000 cryptocurrencies, which is on par with Tangem and Ledger, so if you like OneKey, then it might be the one for you. Next up, we have one of the newest brands to hit the market, Ryder, and after years of market research, they decided that creating a wallet that's both easy and enjoyable to use was important to them, and the result is the Ryder One hardware wallet. This is actually similar to Tangem and Arculus, except it has a screen, more specifically, a touchscreen. Like Tangem, it's a mobile-only NFC wallet that works with virtually any Android or iOS phone, but instead of approving crypto transactions using the app, like with Tangem or Arculus, you approve them on your Ryder wallet touchscreen. And due to its completely enclosed design, it is IP67 rated, so it's dust and waterproof. It also comes standard with a wireless charger since there's no charging ports on the device. Something else unique to Ryder is their recovery tags. This tag acts as a physical backup for your wallet's key, protected by a secure element chip and PIN code, so you can use your Ryder wallet without needing to write down your seed phrase, but if you're like me and still prefer knowing your seed phrase, you can view it in the device settings after you set the wallet up. That said, there are some downsides that I've noticed to newer wallets, and that is that most of them don't support nearly as many cryptocurrencies and blockchain networks as more established brands. But even though Ryder doesn't support a lot of cryptocurrencies and blockchain networks right now, they are working on adding more, so hopefully one day it will be on par with something like Tangem and Ledger. Nonetheless, if you want a wallet that's easy to use like Tangem, but you prefer it has its own screen, check out Ryder. This next wallet is pretty popular, especially here on YouTube, yet I rarely talk about it for one specific reason, which I'll get to in a minute. This is the Decent Biometric Wallet, and it's the only wallet on this list that's not air-gapped, but offers a biometric fingerprint scanner. It has 4 physical buttons, an up and down arrow, along with a back and approve button, which makes navigation fairly straightforward. In the center, you've got the fingerprint scanner, and it performs pretty well. I've used other wallets where the scanner wasn't as accurate, but this one is consistent and reads my fingerprint without many issues. The screen is on the smaller side, so the text can be a bit harder to read if you have bad eyes, but it's still bright and clear enough for me. One thing to note is that it still uses a micro USB port, which just feels outdated. Thankfully, you only need to use that port for charging and not for signing transactions. To manage your crypto using this wallet, you just connect it to the Decent app. It does have an encrypted Bluetooth connection. The app is pretty good, maybe not as polished as some others, but it still lets you buy, sell, and swap crypto, which is what most of us care about. Security-wise, Decent uses an EAL5 plus secure element chip, still plenty secure. It also has a firmware authentication, so it checks that the firmware that's on the device is always authentic, and if it's not, then it would shut down the wallet so that you can't use it. Now, the main downside to this wallet to me, and why I don't personally use it or recommend it often, and really this is just a personal opinion thing, is that it's 100% closed source and made in South Korea, which, take it for what it is, I just don't feel comfortable using it. That said, Decent has been audited by CoinSpect, which is a well-known security company, and they confirm that there are no hidden backdoors. So if you like the idea of using a fingerprint scanner to approve your transactions and you want a fairly easy-to-use wallet, then Decent might be for you. Moving on to one of the more unique wallet brands on this list, Bitbox. They have a couple different models. This is the Bitbox 02, and right off the bat, I'm going to tell you I'm not a fan of the design at all. It's small, and I just don't enjoy using it. Because of its USB style design, it's meant to be plugged directly into your phone or computer. Unfortunately, this is another reason I don't enjoy using it. But what makes it even more frustrating is the invisible touch buttons on the side. So when you combine the invisible buttons with the small screen and having to keep it plugged into your computer or phone, it's just not a wallet I enjoy using. But that's just my opinion. I'm sure some people still like this small USB style design, and if you do, it's still built to secure your crypto. It uses a dual chip architecture, as does many other wallets. Basically, it has one secure chip that's used to store your private key, and then an open source microcontroller, which also allows the firmware to be completely open source. Something else unique about the Bitbox 02 is that it comes with a micro SD card for backups. Backing up your seed to the micro SD card helps ensure you don't lose access due to writing it down wrong. But again, I am not a fan of this option. I prefer the encrypted pin-protected options from Ryder, Ledger, and Era, which we'll talk about here in a minute. However, if you don't want to use a micro SD card to back up your keys, you can also just write down your seed phrase like a normal wallet. That said, there are two versions of the Bitbox 02. You have the multi-coin edition and the Bitcoin-only edition. They work exactly the same for the most part, except, this one only supports Bitcoin. That said, even the multi-coin edition doesn't support that many cryptocurrencies, so it definitely lax in this area. A couple things I do like about Bitbox: the company seems transparent, which is always nice in the crypto space. Also, you can use the Bitbox Zero 2 hardware wallet as a universal two-factor authentication for your other online accounts like social media or even certain crypto exchanges. Bitbox also released a new Bitbox Zero 2 Nova, which is still pretty similar. It does have a new tempered glass display as well as an EAL6 Plus secure element chip, and it works on all your devices, but other than that, all the Bitbox wallets are pretty similar. Overall, this isn't a wallet I personally use, but if you want a small, compact USB style wallet, this one will secure your crypto. Next up, we have a brand that offers a budget-friendly wallet as well as a couple air-gapped options, and that is SafePal. The first SafePal wallet I ever got was the SafePal X1, and it looks cheap, and that's because it is. There's absolutely nothing fancy about this wallet except that it's disguised as a calculator. It has a simple OLED screen, which is actually a decent size. I do like the T9 keyboard. It makes entering your PIN or seed phrase much faster compared to the wallets that only have a couple buttons. And because the screen isn't super high quality, it actually helps the battery last longer. Surprisingly, it does have Bluetooth, so you can use it with the SafePal app on your phone, or you can plug it in and use it with the SafePal app on your computer. You can also disable Bluetooth if you don't want it on. Security-wise, the X1 still maintains industry standard with an EAL5 secure chip, PIN protection, and a passphrase or hidden wallet option. Overall, the X1 will get the job done. It'll secure your crypto, but I think there's a lot better options on the market if you're willing to spend just a little more money. That said, SafePal also offers the S1 and the S1 Pro. Now, holding these two wallets side by side, you'll notice there's virtually no difference. The only design difference is the power button on the standard S1 is smaller and the rear camera is in the corner instead of the middle. But surely that can't be the only design difference between the standard and the premium S1, right? Well, it's probably hard to tell on camera, but the S1 Pro is wrapped in aluminum and uses a tempered glass on the front, whereas the S1 is mostly plastic. The Pro also has a slightly larger battery and a slightly better camera for scanning QR codes, since both of these models are air-gapped wallets. The screen on both models is also really small, so are the buttons. Kind of a weird design choice, probably not the best option if you have sausage fingers like me or bad eyes also like me. Unlike some of the other air-gapped wallets that we'll cover on this list, both the S1 and the S1 Pro have to be used in air-gapped mode, meaning there's no USB-C connection or Bluetooth that you can use to sign transactions. So if you don't know what an air-gapped wallet is or you don't like using them, probably not the wallet for you. On the other hand, if you like air-gapped wallets, then both the S1 and the S1 Pro are extremely simple to use for an air-gapped wallet. Setting up the S1 and S1 Pro is straightforward for an air-gapped wallet. It consists of scanning the QR code on your phone and then scanning the QR code on your wallet with your phone, which is why I say air-gapped wallets really aren't for beginners. Also, updating the firmware on the S1 and S1 Pro is kind of a hassle because there's no clear instructions, at least in the wallet, on how to do it. That said, the SafePal app is fairly easy to use unless you do all the important stuff like buy, sell, and swap crypto. Overall though, if you aren't familiar with air-gapped wallets, the S1 models probably aren't for you, so you could look at the non-air-gapped SafePal X1, or you could look elsewhere. Okay, this next wallet is a fairly new hardware wallet brand, and it really surprised me when they came out. I usually don't enjoy using air-gapped wallets because of their complexity, but if there was a wallet that was going to change my mind and get me to use an air-gapped wallet, it would definitely be this one. It's the Era wallet. It takes Tangem seedless backup design, SafePal's QR code signing, and Ledger's e-ink touchscreen, and puts it all into one device that actually makes a lot of sense. Design-wise, it's about the size of a credit card, but roughly 5 cards thick, so it's still fairly thin. The standard feature is the 2.7-inch Gorilla Glass touchscreen. One thing you'll notice immediately is there's no USB-C port or any openings on this device. It's a fully enclosed design, making it IP67 rated, so it's water resistant, and it relies entirely on wireless charging. I call this a partially air-gapped wallet because even though you have to sign crypto transactions in air-gapped mode using the camera on the back, you actually update the firmware using NFC, which is a lot better than having to use a micro SD card like with many of the other air-gapped wallets. So I'm actually a huge fan of the firmware updates when it comes to Era. Setting up this wallet is also extremely unique and actually straightforward because they provide instructions directly on the screen, so it's easy to follow along. It uses 5 different entropy methods to generate a completely random seed phrase, including swiping your finger, shaking the device, and moving the camera. This is more of a feel-good feature that adds extra randomness, similar to what you'll see on the NGRAVE Zero, which I'll cover later. And for backups, it actually comes with 3 recovery cards similar to Ledger. You can go fully seedless like Tangem, or write down your 12 or 24 word seed phrase and back it up to the cards. It gives you both options. The cool thing about these recovery cards is that they all have their own secure chip inside of them, and they're all pin protected as well. The biggest standout feature with the Arrow wallet though is that it lets you manage up to 10 separate seed phrases on one device. So it's like owning 10 different cold wallets in one. When it comes to seed phrase management, nothing beats it. The main downside though is the app. Since Era is still pretty new, their app is currently only used for wallet setup and firmware updates. To actually manage your crypto, you need to connect it to a third-party wallet like MetaMask or Rabby. Your keys still stay offline and it's still secure to do this. It just adds an extra step that can be kind of annoying if you've never used an air-gapped wallet before. If you can get past that though, the Arrow wallet is easily my favorite air-gapped wallet on this list, and it's actually enjoyable to use. Okay, now we're getting into some of the more technical wallets I own. Ellipal is a very popular hardware brand that I used to enjoy using, but due to some personal interactions that I've had with the company, I no longer use them. However, if you like their wallets, I'm still confident that they'll secure your crypto. Ellipal has a few different options ranging from beginner-friendly to more advanced wallets. First up, we have the Ellipal X Card, which I'm actually a fan of the idea of this wallet. Similar to Tangem and Arculus, it is an NFC mobile-only card wallet. However, the main difference and what I like about it is that instead of having to generate your seed phrase on your phone like with Tangem and Arculus, it comes with this extra device that you insert the card into, and you actually get to generate your seed phrase on this device. What I don't like about the design is the card itself. Since the chip is exposed, it's not waterproof, so it's not nearly as durable as Tangem or Arculus, but aside from that, it works pretty much the same. Once the wallet is set up, you just connect it to the Ellipal mobile app to manage your crypto, and it makes it a great beginner-friendly option. It also uses an EAL6 Plus secure element chip, so security is on par with other wallets. The X Card is my favorite overall Ellipal wallet, and if I still used Ellipal products, this would be my go-to. Next, we have the Ellipal Mini. This is the first Ellipal wallet I got about 3 years ago now. The design is really cool. It has a fully enclosed anti-tamper metal casing, and even though it's compact, the touchscreen is fairly large and bright. On the back, it has a camera for scanning QR codes since it is an air-gapped wallet. Now, the one thing that really annoys me about the Titan Mini is the charging port. Like, what is this? It uses a proprietary charging connector. So if you lose this piece, you will not be able to charge your wallet until you buy another one through Ellipal. The point of them doing this was so that they could keep the wallet completely air-gapped, but honestly, no one would have cared if they just put a freaking USB-C port like the other wallets. And lastly, we have the Ellipal Titan 2.0. Probably my least favorite Ellipal wallet. It's just too big for me. However, the design is really cool. It's all metal, has a large screen so it's easy to read, and the camera works well for scanning QR codes. But again, it uses a proprietary charging dock. I'm not a fan of this at all, especially since their X Card device uses a USB-C. So I don't understand why the Titan models can't just use a USB-C as well. Other than that, the Titan 2.0 works exactly like the Mini. You have to use the camera on the back for transactions because they're both fully air-gapped. I will say the main downside to the Titan models is that to update the firmware, you have to use the included micro SD card. And this is a whole process in itself. First, you have to format the micro SD card to FAT32 format. Then you have to download the firmware onto the SD card. Then upload the firmware onto your wallet, and it's a whole process that nobody wants to go through or has time to go through. That said, both the Titan Mini and the 2.0 are not user-friendly at all, and I would never recommend them to a beginner. They're fine for a more advanced user. If you like Ellipal and you want to try their wallet and you're a beginner, then I would definitely opt for the Ellipal X Card. It's a lot easier to use. Okay, continuing onward with another extremely advanced wallet, the Keystone 3 Pro. This is often regarded as the most secure wallet on the market due to its long list of security features. This is a 95% open source air-gapped wallet with biometric authentication and 3 secure element chips. Because it has multiple secure chips, you can manage up to 3 separate seed phrases on one device, and you can also switch between the seed phrases by entering each individual password. It's basically 3 wallets in one, and no one will ever know you have 3 wallets unless they know your seed phrase. It also has a self-destruct mechanism. Keystone is one of the only hardware wallets with a PCI grade anti-tampering system, meaning if someone tries to physically break into the device, the chips immediately wipe all of the sensitive data so that no one can access your wallet. Despite being an air-gapped wallet, Keystone actually lets you update the firmware using a USB-C cable, thank God, or you could use the micro SD card, but you already know how that process goes. You can also disable or enable the USB-C in the settings. Of course, transactions are still signed in air-gapped mode because this wallet is designed to work as an air-gapped wallet. For a while, I didn't enjoy using the Keystone 3 Pro, mainly because they didn't have their own native app to manage your crypto, so you were stuck using a third-party app like MetaMask. Since then, they have released their own native app called Keystone Nexus, but even this app is limited in coin support. You can manage a few of the popular cryptocurrencies and blockchain networks, but you'll still probably find yourself using third-party wallets to help manage this physical device. But if you are a more advanced user looking for additional security features like Shamir backup, Slip39, or the option to manage multiple seed phrases, then the Keystone 3 Pro might be a good option for you. Next up, we have one of the most extreme wallets on this list, and by extreme, I mean extreme price tag, and that is the NGRAVE Zero. They market themselves as the most secure or the coldest hardware wallet on the market. Right away, the design stands out. There's no other hardware wallet on the market that looks like this. It's one of the largest wallets I own, and it has a massive 4-inch touchscreen that's bright and easy to read. The casing is made from a hardened alloy, and it's IP55 rated, so it's resistant to dust and water. It also has multiple layers of tamper protection, meaning if someone were to try to break into the device physically, it can detect that and automatically wipe itself clean. Like some of the other advanced wallets on this list, the Zero is completely air-gapped, so there's no Bluetooth, no NFC, no USB-C cables. You have to use the camera on the back to sign transactions. Security-wise, this wallet is on another level. It's the only wallet on the market running an EAL7 certified operating system, not a secure chip like a lot of people claim, which is the highest security certification in the world and is typically reserved for military and government systems. It also uses an EAL5 plus secure element chip, which stores your keys offline. Now the setup is what's really unique. Instead of just generating a random seed phrase for you like most wallets, the NGRAVE Zero allows you to create what they call the perfect key. It combines randomness from the secure chip, your fingerprint, the camera, and even your own interaction with the device. This ensures that no one, not even NGRAVE, could ever recreate your key. It's very similar to how the Era wallet operates. Once it's set up, you can manage the device using the NGRAVE Liquid mobile app. The app is simple and easy to use. You can send, receive, buy, and swap crypto, and every transaction still has to be approved on the device itself, of course. The biggest downside to the NGRAVE Zero is its price. At over $400, it's one of the most expensive wallets on the market. Also, because the screen is so large and bright, the battery doesn't last that long. Not a huge deal because it's not like we're scrolling YouTube on our hardware wallet, but just something to take note of. Overall, the NGRAVE Zero is a great wallet. It's going to secure crypto. If you are looking for a more premium option and you have a higher budget, then you might want to check this one out. Next up, we have a wallet unlike any other one on this list, and it's definitely built for advanced users only, and that is the BCVault. What makes BCVault different is, again, how you generate your private keys. To generate them, you literally shake the device, and it uses the internal accelerometer to create a completely random and unique private key. This ensures no one can ever generate the exact same key. From there, setup is fairly straightforward. You just download the BCVault app on your Mac, Windows, or Linux computer, and you follow the on-screen instructions. But the unique security features is where this wallet really stands out, and honestly is one of the main reasons I don't use it. Instead of using a seed phrase, BCVault uses a fully seedless design. You create a global password and directional pin using the physical pad on the device. The pin isn't numbers though, it's a sequence of directions like left, down, right, up. But your global password and pin are always required to access the device. On top of that, every wallet you create, like Bitcoin wallet, also has its own separate password and PIN, so even if someone accessed the device, they still couldn't access your individual wallets without knowing those specific credentials. So it's extremely secure. It's also overly complex for the average user. For backups, BCVault gives you two options, both of which I am not a fan of at all. You can use the built-in micro SD card slot, or generate encrypted QR code backups on paper. Both are fully encrypted and can only be restored using your password and PIN. The one thing BCVault does have going for it is that it has robust cryptocurrency and blockchain network support, all through the native BCVault app. Overall, BCVault is extremely unique, and I have zero doubts that it will secure your crypto. However, because of its complexity, I wouldn't recommend this as your first or even your second wallet. If you are looking for a wallet with the most security features, then you might want to check out BCVault. Now let's look at some Bitcoin-only air-gapped wallets, more specifically ColdCard. ColdCard has two models to choose from currently, starting with the Mk4, which is a cheap calculator-like design similar to the SafePal X1. Honestly, not a huge fan of this design, but it is see-through, which is pretty cool. Under the plastic shell, it has two separate secure element chips from different manufacturers. This is more like a fail-safe design. If a vulnerability is ever found in one chip, the other one will still protect your keys. Now, the user experience on the Mk4 is definitely geared more towards advanced users. It has a tiny OLED screen and clicky buttons, which can be tedious when entering long passphrases. It's famous for its sneaker net air-gapped workflow, where you sign transactions by moving the micro SD card back and forth between your computer and the wallet, so it never directly touches your computer. Fortunately, the Mk4 also lets you sign transactions using a USB-C cable or NFC, so you don't have to use the air-gap mode if you don't want to. It also has a unique security feature where you can create separate pins from the main pin that is used to access a device, one of those being a BitKey pin. So if someone is forcing you to access a device, you can enter this specific pin and it actually bricks the device, making it so you're not able to use it. Now, a lot of Bitcoin maxis love ColdCard and especially the Mk4, but if you're not a Bitcoin maxi and you're more of a beginner user, I probably wouldn't recommend this wallet. But then there's the ColdCard Q, which is basically a supercharged version of the Mk4, and it looks like the calculator I used to use in junior high. The first thing you'll notice is it's a lot bigger and has a full keyboard, which is really nice if you have long passphrases. The keyboard makes a huge difference. It also has a much larger, higher resolution screen and a dedicated QR code scanner with its own flashlight, which is pretty cool. It also has dual micro SD slots and can be powered with 3 AAA batteries or a USB-C cable, so you don't have to plug it in to use it if you don't want to. Also, the firmware on both devices is 100% open source. That said, ColdCard does not have its own native app, so to manage the Mk4 or the ColdCard Q, you have to use third-party software like Electrum or Sparrow. So if you are a Bitcoin maxi and you only hold Bitcoin, then you might want to look into ColdCard, but there's a lot of other Bitcoin-only options on the market as well if you want something a little less complex. Next, we have another Bitcoin-only air-gapped wallet. It's the Blockstream Jade, and it's even smaller than the ColdCard Mk4. And just to be clear, the Blockstream Jade is an optional air-gapped wallet similar to the Mk4, which I actually like, so you can transact using the camera and QR codes, or you can use a Bluetooth or the included USB-C cable if you prefer. However, you can only update the firmware using a USB connection, which again is also nice because you don't have to use a micro SD card. Now, the wallet itself is very bare bones. It's got a small screen and a single button to approve transactions, along with a jog wheel for importing and backing up your recovery phrase. Not a huge fan of this design, but it gets the job done. But at least Blockstream has their own native app for managing their wallet, unlike ColdCard, so that's definitely a welcomed feature. You can use Blockstream Green on both your desktop and mobile device, or you could use your Blockstream Jade wallet with a compatible companion app like Sparrow, Nunchuck, Blue Wallet, Electrum, along with a few other popular options. For as simple as this wallet is, it actually has a lot of security features like a device-specific PIN, a hidden wallet option, and an optional 2FA to authorize transactions if using it with the Blockstream Green multi-sig shield, and what they call a virtual secure element, which allows a wallet to remain completely open source while still protecting your keys. So yeah, this one does not have a physical secure element chip like literally every other hardware wallet, but it has a virtual one. If you want a small, compact, Bitcoin-only air-gapped wallet, maybe it's for you. Next up, we have one of the newest wallets on this list. It's created by Block, which is Jack Dorsey's company. It is another Bitcoin-only wallet, and that is BitKey. Right away, you'll notice this wallet looks way different than everything else we've covered. It reminds me of one of those hideaway rocks that you place outside your house that you put your key in. There's no screen, no buttons, and no cables required for normal use. So it has a touch sensor and it works alongside the BitKey mobile app on your phone. To use it, you just open the app, tap the BitKey device to your phone using the built-in NFC, and you hold your finger on the sensor to approve transactions. It's one of the more beginner-friendly Bitcoin-only wallets when it comes to daily use, but it is pretty unique. But what makes BitKey really unique and why I'm not a fan of it is how it generates and stores your seed phrase. It actually doesn't use a traditional seed phrase setup. Instead, it uses a 2 of 3 multi-sig system. One key is stored on the hardware device, one is stored on your phone, and the third one is a recovery key managed by Block. This means there's no seed phrase for you to write down or worry about losing. Could be a pro. Personally, I like to know my seed phrase. If you ever lose a device, you can use your phone and your identity to recover your wallet. You could also add a trusted recovery contact, which is a cool security feature, but not one that I would probably ever use. Of course, the device is rechargeable using a USB-C cable, and the battery lasts a long time because there's no screen. So if you are a Bitcoin maxi looking for a unique Bitcoin-only wallet, well, maybe you like BitKey. That said, I'm confident any wallet on this list will protect your crypto. You just need to find the right one that works for you. And once you get a hardware wallet, you need to watch out for these 11 mistakes that you should never make after setting it up. Check that out next. I'll meet you over there. God bless.